Welcome to Great Talking Entertainment. I'm your host, KJ, and this is the YouTube channel where I review movies and TV shows from all your favorite superheroes, including Marvel Comics, DC Comics, and much more. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Now let's go, baby. Welcome back to the YouTube channel, everyone. My name is KJ, and I am the host of Great Talking Entertainment. And today is my spoiler review video for the new movie, which is in theaters right now, Star Wars, The Mandalorian, and Grogu. So if you have not seen this show, please pause this. But before you go, could you hit the thumbs up button, aka the like button, come back and check out The Mandalorian Grogu movie in theaters right now, and let me know in the comments below what you think about the movie and what do you think is going to happen next. And also, if you're still not sure if you want to check out this film and you think it's not worth seeing it, check out my non-spoiler review for the movie The Mandalorian and the Grogu movie, which is on my YouTube channel now. So if you're still not sure, check that out, because I talk about the film without spoiling it, talking about not ruin the main plot of it, nothing like that, but just check it out if you're still not sure, because I got you guys. So again, this is a spoiler review. Y'all been warned. Now, let's get into it. This film starts off with starting at the very top. The Mandalorian and Grogu feature an on-screen tech orientating viewers to the time period of which the Pacific Star Wars stories takes place. While it's not an opening crawl, we appreciate that for John Veer and Dave Filoni. We saw it as necessary to take this step, not only as it harkens back to George Lucas's original film, but affords a newcomers an approachable entry point into the story of this, was solely missing in Road Wrong as a spin-off film, while the Serbs in many ways, Eerd is not featured in some of the form or opening crawl to text. Which that just means, like, basically what I'm saying is, like, they shorten this. Usually most, like, Star Wars films, but, like, Star Wars Rogue One didn't really have that text crawl where it's like the words are going up or down and you gotta read it. But they're just, this way was the most simplest text form that I seen in a Star Wars movie, you know. And I think since, like, the movie Star Wars Rogue One, they've been kind of getting more simpler. But again, too, I understand the fact this is, like, George Lucas sold the rights around that time, so they're kind of doing the George Lucas way, but in a different version of them. So again, it's not like a big deal. But the text fades and the films transform into a scene involving a imitating imperial warlord demanding to increase the tribute from the locals. Now, this imperial warlord is named Commander Barrow, and he's kind of a slime ball to this stuff. Like, he's like, you know, to the new empire or whatever, right? And again, this is like, you know, everybody's kind of like in this council meeting, kind of like, oh my God, this guy's like working us, hustling us, and we have to bow down to this guy. But he does have power, and he does got I guess he's got the right support to pull this off, because he just seems to want to be more than what he has. Obviously, I think he wants to be the big dog in this new empire. And, you know, because the guy kept saying long live the empire like 2 or 3 times in the span of 5 minutes. But, you know, he's very selfish in this one. So I thought that was pretty interesting that, you know, the new empire at this time in this timeline is kind of like rebuilding, but they don't really have a true leader. And again, obviously this is a spoiler review. There's really like no real mention of Palpatine, but he's still alive around here. he doesn't like get killed until like I think like episode 9, I believe. Star Wars episode 9. But that's where the point is at. There's really no confirming where this really takes place. And, again, this film does not confirm whether it's like it's on the ice planet or it's the planet Hoth. I like to think it is at the way it was structured, despite being the most recognizable planet across all the Star Wars. But I believe it's Hoth, and it has hardly featured. Doesn't really be featured a lot in the canon scenes. I mean, in the Star Wars universe. At the last time they showed that ice planet, if it's Hoth, I'm not sure, would have been the live action Empire Strike Back, and and I believe that it hasn't been on a live action since 1980, I believe. But it would make sense for an Imperial warlord to set up a shop on Hoth, given its more structured location in the galaxy and the former Empire presence on that planet. So I believe it just, again, they didn't say it was Hoth, so I'm not sure, but it just looked like it. And this scene, and later on there's a scene too with Grogu that reminded me of the old Star Wars scenes in the movies. And so this, to me, again, unless I'm wrong, but I don't think they put it on the title screen in the movie, in the scenes where what planet this was, but it did look like Hoth to me from Empire Strikes Back. Now, again, this is a big, obviously Star Wars is a big galaxy, far, far away, so, again. Now, again, later on this scene, we get this most badass of an entrance from our main characters, Din Djarin and Grogu, aka the Mandalorian, and he operates from the shadows like Batman as he takes out numerous snow troopers before making a big hero entrance, accompanied by, that iconic theme that is pretty much playing of the Mandalorian. It did give me goosebumps hearing that theme song from the Mandalorian as the Mando made his grand entrance and showed up on the group of evil empires. Also, Grogu is also fun in the entrance. He takes down an enemy more like capable with his size, because like here's the Mandalorian and he's like, you can come in warm or cold, and they all run. But it's crazy. Everybody in the council turned on Commander Barrow because he ran off like a little punk, and he gives them all weapons, right? Because he knows they're coming. Like, hey, the Mandalorian's coming. He's in here. Pow, pow. Boom, boom. And what a sleazeball. This guy is such a sleazeball. Like, he runs, and he's going to let everybody in the council just dip off. And I get it. They didn't like him because he was going to raise the tariff price on trading and stuff. He's going to get a more percentage. Everybody was like, nah, we don't want that shit. Like, so he runs off, but the Mandalorian hits him with the flame floor and stuff. And I just, I was just like, damn, like, what a coward. But at least the council didn't, the Mando didn't shoot them or nothing. Because when he asked which way did he go, they all pointed at this little elevator. And so, they got that. But then, like I said, Grogu also gets a fun entrance as he takes down a more, like, size of him, which was just like a little robot. It was neat and somewhat humorous to see that Din Djarin is now just takes Grogu on all his missions ever previously going out on his way to leave the child behind in episodes like Chapter 4, The Sanctuary, and Chapter 12. While he obviously behaves like a child in many regards, Grogu has clearly grown stronger in the Force as results of Luke's training, and Din Djarin sees him as being capable of handling his own on missions like this. So it does have that father and son feel to it, which is totally awesome. Totally fine with that. And we see the Mando then trades in like Batman for Daredevil as he takes down tons of troopers in one take hallway sequence. That's why I'm trying to promote it. Like, it just has that like Marvel feel to it, with the choreographed and camera movements from the sequence of all that in the fight when he does that hallway scenes with the snow troopers, which again, I swear, like, I just wish Disney and anybody in the Star Wars company would just make a live action movie or series of just all the stormtroopers, snow troopers, Imperial troopers, all the troopers, the zombie troopers. Like, yeah, I know they kind of talk about it and explain their origins through the Disney Plus series and movies, but I just think those are just a real story about that should just, oh my god, that'd be so good to see. All just the main characters are different stormtrooper type level tiers. Like, I'm just saying, guys, I think it'd be fun to watch. Now, again in this scene, we see, and you see like bunch of action, and we see a featuring massive AT-ATs or AT-RTs, I should say, gracing the screen, giving the Mandalorian and Grogu a scale of scope series never had much was made about whether these characters and their stories would effectively translate to the big screens. But obviously this did not dispel this concern almost immediately with a cinematic epic action sequence that would not feel the same on streaming. So they did really well. Again, this was a streaming service, and you guys know this because you're listening to the spoiler review of this. But they really, to me personally, I know a lot of people are saying this, but to me, it does not feel like a Disney Plus series because of scenes like this. And because they're getting on there, and the budget seems better, them just seeing the Mandalorian ride the smaller version of a RT-AT, or AT-RT, I should say. AT-RT. And then get on the giant versions as he's trying to, get the guy, Commander Barrow. But he's such a scary cat. He gets on another ship and he flies out and he leaves these bombs, right? And they're about to detonate. And we see this is my favorite scene. One of my favorite scenes, I should say. One of my favorite, see Grogu just scared. He's like a little kid. He's like, Dad, hurry up. And then the Mandalorian's like, hold on, I gotta get this shot. Now, he was technically supposed to bring Commander Barrow back alive, but since he was playing hard to get, he pretty much shot the ship that he was on, Commander Barrow's on, and it crashed right into the cliff of a mountain of snow, and he didn't survive. And then as soon as that spaceship was gonna blow up, the two get on the jetpack that the Mandalorian takes, and they fly in and they get picked up by a U-wing vehicle, and we get introduced by Zeb. Now, Zeb's a beloved character from Star Wars Rebels, and obviously we've seen him in, I think, The Mandalorian Season 1 or 2, I believe. And to see him, again, the CGI shots look so good on Zeb. And it just looks like what you would see. The way the detailed design looks just like him from the Star Wars Rebels look, which is really impressive. really, really impressive. And so that's why, again, another proven point, in my opinion, that this does not, to me, feel like a TV show or just another season of The Mandalorian. Now, The Mandalorian Grogu feature a couple big action scenes and essential serving the, heroes type things. But it's a smart move for a lot of this, as Steve Blum, the voice actor, is toned down Zeb's overzealous and rambunctious tone voice in nature. While this temperate works in the context of a family-friendly animated show, it would probably feeling fitted in the context of that cinematic feel to it. So a little more toned down, a little bit more. I guess it just fits the movie better. In the cartoons, the animation film, he was a little bit more louder. He was a little bit more animated, obviously. But that's a different format of TV forms, and it was obviously a cartoon. And so they had more room, they had more space to really do more of that character, show more sides of him. In this film, they kind of keep him one tone, one personality type, which is fine. It makes sense. And I know we can debate it, whether they should or shouldn't, but I don't think it was a big deal. I think it fit well for this type of film, especially in the main plot of this. So now the next scene, Mando and Grogu then reconvene the new Republican Colin Ward, played by the one and only, to see Ellen Ripley in the big screen of the Star Wars movie. Certainly a sight to behold. She's obviously famous for the Aliens, Ghostbusters, Avatar, Galaxy Quest, and now she's got the Star Wars. And to see her status as a legendary actress in science fiction cinema is so awesome. She is the best at this stuff, and she's one of my favorite actresses because I like those type of movies. I do like her, and obviously Alien, that was just the best. Obviously, I did like her in Ghostbusters, and I do love her in Avatar. She's just good in these type of movies. I'm sure others as well. As the Mandalorian and Grogu deliver nothing with no information, explain that he tried, but it didn't work out. But she's not mad. And this scene has pretty much delivered the vital explosion that kicks the main plot of the movie. She tasked Mando and Grogu to retrieve Rada the Hutt, for the twins. In exchange, the Hutt would provide Mando and the New Republic with information about the exclusive commander coin. And the narrative structures do A for someone and then receive B, which will help you achieve C, popped up repeatedly in the series and bears a resemblance to narrate the structure of video games type. So it's a little bit simple, but it's okay because she explains Rada the Hutt. And the last time we see Rada the Hutt was the cartoon show, the animation show, Star Wars Clone Wars. And he was just a baby. I mean, he was baby Grogu before baby Grogu. And now we don't know what he looks like yet, but now he becomes an adult. He's an adult version, and he's the son of Jabba the Hutt. So the twins, as I said, the twins are going to give the Republicans new information, but they're also double agent. They're also double crossing. They're giving the Empire, the evil Empire, information about them while they're giving information about the evil Empire to them. And so they're kind of double agent. It's what I'm getting out of it. And that's why I was saying it's kind of like the narrative structure of a video game. There's it's action packed. It's a fun ride to watch this film, but just the main plot just gave me video game vibes, story plot, which again is not a big deal. That's what I loved about this, is the plot was amazing like that. But to get to A, B to C is the whole point of what that he has to do. And of course there's plot twists and shocking revealing moments and stuff, and that's why we know the twins are no good to trust at all. But also it we see a new character layer to Jada the Hutt. Obviously definitely not, he's not a baby. He's not a baby no more. And again, this film suggests that it will unravel a mystery involving Commander Coin, although these questions are eventually answered. Predictably and underwhelming is already revealed that the actor John Coin is back and playing the character name, and his real name is John Coin. So it's like he's playing. It has a similar name to his actual name, which there really ain't any mystery around Coin's identity, because he's eventually the guy who the Mandalorian meets up, and he says, "Sorry for your trouble. Take the salt." And over there, the salt is just like, people can't get salt, and so all their food is kind of like, not really good. But that was also like and it had like a mafia type, like, I'm gonna give you a chance to walk away, Mandalorian. Yeah, I know you can beat my guys, but you can't really beat me. Where he was confident. And so when the Mandalorian sneaks in, Rada eventually reveals that he's the man who oversaws his gladiator fights is actually a fugitive Imperial warlord, and it may come as a surprise to Mando, but certainly doesn't to the audience. In this sense, the film lacks the intrigue that made the initial seasons of The Mandalorian and even Star Wars more in general so special, where Season 1 and Season 2 had an audience questioning why the Empire wants Grogu, where's Grogu came from, and who is the Jedi that will train him. The movie appears disinterested in posing intriguing questions for the audience to ponder over, coupled with the fact that far too much of the film has been depicted in promotion materials in The Mandalorian. Grogu is left with forecastable stories that, while told in cinematic fashion, doesn't justify its disconnection as the plot features film rather than the Disney Plus series. Particularly in critical audience may even find that the film feels like a multiple big budget episode of a show strung together, although we argue that so much that such as a point to overlook its cinematic qualities and technical achievements of this film. Din Djarin then receives a new Razor Crest as a payment for his upcoming mission. While the Starfighter was certainly cool to see in the book of Boba Fett and The Mandalorian Season 3, it's nice to finally see Mando with the same model ship that was destroyed in Chapter 14 of the tragedy of Season 2. With Zeb in town, Din Djarin and Grogu make their way to Na Hutta, the home world of the Hutts. Now, this is just a green planet with a lot of swamp. A lot of swamp. So think of like the states that have swamps. It's pretty much like that. The green hue of the planet gives the location, distance, aesthetic as a Gronitz score, which features themes specific to each location. So there's a little bit of little callbacks to here. The Hutt twins didn't leave much of an impression in the book of Boba Fett, but they have far more screen presence in The Mandalorian. Grogu. Their low voices are imitating, and the production designs to bring their layer to life is gorgeous. Like, I love it. It's like you can tell with Grogu, the Hutts, and any other characters, like alien species type stuff, they really look. There's a lot of puppeteering, and I think that's awesome. Like, and then mix it in with the CGI and the VFX effect is a masterpiece. And I just, oh my gosh, I loved it. It was just visually, it looks good. Visually, I will say, throughout this whole film, looks visually good. Like, they really, oh my gosh, just from top to bottom, squeaky clean, and has to look gross when it needs to look gross in the right place. I'm not saying like unprofessionally gross, but just like what it needs to look like and how it has to be. So it just on point, just gorgeous. Now, the Mando doesn't try to hide his disdain for the Hutts, reflecting a change in his character, where we're originally introduced in season one, who was willing to take jobs for anyone, including the Empire. The Hutt twins show Mando and Grogu hologram of a young Rada the Hutt, which he just got bigger. He's just got bigger. And the biggest laugh out of this for us for the entire film was Rada's aunt and uncle saying that he had grown spurth was funny alone. But then to see Stinky, that's his nickname from the Clone Wars animated, the film realized in live action certainly he had us chuckling for a bit. Because, Rada, he's got some personalities. I mean, his whole family does, if you really, really watch. Because, in the Clone Wars animation series, and I think Rebels, you see other family members from Jabba the Hutt. Like, Jabba the Hutt's family tree is huge. Like, it's like, they're not all, you're not going to get rid of them all. You can't kill them all off. Like, he has so many family members. Like, he's probably got more siblings. And he's probably got more kids that you just don't know about. And I think he does. But you gotta really read some comic books, some novelty books, just to see where his family comes from and more of the origin of it. But really interesting stuff. So definitely check that out. The inclusion of Rada has an integral piece of the story reflects something we really admire about this is just like most creatives would shy away from ever using a character who is the subject of so many jokes, whose sole purpose appearance basically was in critical die-hearted animated films, but dared to repose the character and change him into someone generally interesting and compelling. Did with this, with like Ahsoka sticking with the character after her rocky start and overseeing her as she evolved into one of the most beloved Star Wars characters. So this is really good for Star Wars to, and I know it's Dave Filoni who's, in charge of this, but he really took a chance with this character again and made this character more interesting, gave us a reason to care. This is not just whether it's a good guy or bad guy, bad person, or it's not like a holiday hilarious special for Star Wars. Filoni really embraced all elements in the galaxy far away, and even the ones that weren't really well received intentionally. So there's one thing about him, he really knows how to take a character like Rada the Hutt and rechange him without changing him so much where it takes him away from his original creation of the one and only George Lucas. So, he really does good with that, and it made me really care about Jabba the Hutt more. And to see him in this take is really interesting. From Nal Hutta, the team travels to Shakira. Grossum welcomes us to a planet inspired by like a Chicago with hip hop inspired theme that truly is like anything unlike heard in a Star Wars movie and this is like previously dating back to like John Williams' work on our original 1977 film music, has always played it a critical role in a galaxy far away, so much so that its themes and motifs and intentional, recognizable, and enduringly humbling, I should say, the magic of Williams' music in this regard while crafting a truly singular score for a Star Wars film, at times leaning into a like orchestrated work and use of choir, while at other times supporting a hip hop beats and techno synths like a on Shikari. The three-time Academy Award winner score elevates the Mandalorian Grogu to remarkable heights and plays so much critical role in making the film entertaining, atmosphere, and adventurous as it is. The Martin scores then appears in the first two scenes as Hugo Durant and Arden Cook, who is relived of the Durant, the character voiced by John Farrow, a solo film Star Wars story. Hearing scores says the name Rada brought up a huge smile to our face, and it was just awesome that the name drop of that Rada the Hutt in the live action Star Wars movie. The visual effects team also did well to give Hugo Durant some of the most mannerism and characteristic score sense, namely those unrockable blush eyebrows of his. Like, they're just so bushy. Durant points them to the Gladiator Arena, where Rada the Hutt is reigning champion for the most of the part. The visual effects to bring a Jack grown up version of Rada the Hutt are the great, although hearing Jeremy Allen White voice come out of the character's mouth takes a bit of getting used to, and quite unintentionally funny at first, but after the intentional adjustment period, time becomes clear that the White was the right perfect choice for with the subtle inflection of his voice. White brings such a great to Rada and makes him a character we immediately root and care for. His kindness to Grogu does not go unnoticed, and his far cry from a kind of lost in dad issues of his father Jabba the Hutt was known for. To convince Rada boss John to let the Hutt out of the fighting contract, Mando and Grogu make their way to a cantina in a scene that would surely make George Lucas proud. Cantina scenes have been fixtured of Star Wars since the original film, and are always tapped into a sequence from numerous westerns in which a cowboy would enter a salon only for a chaos and violence to endure shortly after that. That's exactly what happened here as Din Djarin kicks all kinds of booty, lays a smack down on him and snapping one's horns and, Superman punching him type styles. The sequence in the Salt Bar also has tons of parallel iconic opening sequence as John Woo's 1992 action classic Hard Boil. This henchman is named Hog's Breath, and he's played by Matthew Willing, a former NFL player who went to play Little Chino in Dexter. Din then speaks with John Woo himself, who likes the Imperial Warlord at the start of the film, as seems to have a busting side hustle independence of the exploits of to rekindle its empire. John Woo has a fascination with creatures, one whom is Bluebird-like creature that talks and behaves like a talking bird, I don't know how to explain it, like a parrot, right? That's what I think. That's the best way I can compare this bird. But I thought that bird was cool. When Johnny refused to let Rada out of his contract, Mando tries to break the Hutt out and contently only finds Rada to alert the authorities. What ensues is one of the film's bigger action set piece unfolding as Dijart Max comes to life. The floor of the fight is the board of like I don't know, like a video game. It's little CGI heavy, but in IMAX the fight looks and sounds amazing, especially when Mando and Rada team up against other creatures. The chaos spills over in the streets of Shikara, where we see the baby rodent, same species as Greedo, and they're really neat Easter eggs paying tribute to the late Carl Weathers. Riding above the wall, creatures breaks through, translates into Weather the Apollo. During the Shakara chase, it was cool to see Grogu take a proactive stance on the mission as he is the one who leaps in the palm and speeds off after Rada after he which his dad follows. Rada the Hutt tries to escape. Like he's like, I'm out, guys. Nobody's taking me away. And that's why Grogu was chasing him. And it was kind of like the little brother chasing the big brother while the dad chases the kids. And aboard the Razor Crest, Mondo and Rada have a heart-to-heart moment because, again, they got him. Rada couldn't escape. And he was trying to teach him, we're trying to learn that John Yu's full name is John Coyne. Again, this is the twist is painfully obvious and was crying out for something far more, submersive. But Rada also expresses his concern that the Hutt twins want to, kill him, and as he's the only person standing in their way to inherit Jabba's criminal empire. We have seen so many villainous Hutts over the years, so it's refreshing to see one who wishes to depart from the family criminal history and forge more a wholesome legacy. So he's kind of like, I ain't trying to be like my dad. I'm the black sheep of the family. He's tired of this stuff. He just wants to live a regular life, pretty much. Zeb, Grogu, then Janju, and Grogu then heads to Janu's estate, where he's staying. Zeb kicks some booty as well, wielding a Magna Guard staff in Jar and says his iconic line, I can take you in warm or I can take you in cold. And the highlight of this action sequence comes from Grogu, who hilariously misunderstandings or just ignored his father's instructions of what button to press on the Razor Crest as they're trying to get away from the stormtroopers as they got tied down Janu and try to take him. But the team is just shooting out. So you got these stormtroopers just shooting. He's trying to tell Grogu, like, press this button, press this. And he finally does it. But I think Grogu just wants to press the buttons he wants to press. But, it's what I want to point out too. It's a shame we don't get to see Sigourney Weaver Ward very much interrogate John Yu, especially as the conversation would likely tap into Thrawn's grander plans for restarting the Empire. While I admire the willingness to make this film as approachable as possible to a new audience, I just wish there was a little bit more here teasing a future story connecting to the border events of a canon of the universe. It's a reflection how ultimately low scale the film is, that there is an ultimate very little spoil about its story. Now, Rada is playing with Grogu on the beach, and it's adorable. Over the course of 3 seasons and now a movie, Grogu is assimilating tons of aunts and uncles in this. He has Palmato, Grief Gargu, IG-11, Kugu, Kurandane, and now he has Rada the Hutt. Like, Grogu's just building like a whole new family. Din Djarin, Grogu, and Rada then make their way to Navarro, where we see the Mando still owns the starfighter, meaning he's now living in the ultimate single dad's life, which is kind of funny. I'm just saying, Like he's just being the parent for all these characters. Rada sad and leaves Din Djarin and Grogu behind almost as if he yearns for a kind of family they have. Fatherhood has been, not been his thing, but it's always been themed like these characters have father issues. And who's the one guy who has the most father issues? Luke Skywalker. And I would say his probably Darth Vader, aka Anakin Skywalker, but there's a lot of dad issues in here, and it really spills into every Star Wars content or shows or movies, and it's very it's very then, and Rada and Jabba's like bond is like toxic, and Din Djarin and Grogu's warm relationship is particularly highlighted in these scenes. In choosing not to turn Rada into the Hutt twins, Din Djarin um, replicates the same sin and he committed in the Mandalorian season 1 in the initial season. Mando refused to deliver a bounty to his employers upon realizing that his bounty is innocent. He does the same here with Rada and once again faces the consequences for betraying his employer. Now, again, we're seeing like what I mean by that, it's like they're kind of rehashing stories from the show and just adding in here in the movie, but just using different characters in the way, but using the same characters as well, but not all of them, because now with that, but we do get to enter a new character, and we get to see Imbo, the deadliest bounty hunter from the Clone Wars, who is translated perfectly from animation to live action. Imbo serves as a formidable opponent to Din Djarin and managed to capture him, requiring Grogu, and similarly to the adorable Enzelinas to flee. Those are the little creatures that can do repair works. And I love these guys in this movie, and I love the bond between them and Grogu. My favorite scene was when they came, the Enzelians came, and Grogu just, like a little kid, just runs down the ramp. And they're all like, "Hey, bad baby, bad baby," and his dad, the Mandalorian, was like, "Hey, be nice." But then he feels bad, like a dad. He's like, "Okay, son, you promise you be nice. You promise you're gonna behave. You promise you're gonna listen." And Grogu just nods his head yes, and doesn't do none of that. But he gets to go play with them and learn how to fix a ship. But it makes, without seeing Mandalorian, we do see the Mandalorian's face when Pedro Pascal does get his mask taken off. But the way they did it, the way the camera angles, you can kind of sense that maybe he was smiling behind that mask, the helmet, not mask, helmet. So I like that. I really like that. Now, Mando is brought to Nal Hutta, where he is unmasked by the Hutts. And again, obviously seeing Pedro Pascal, arguably the biggest movie star on the planet, on the big screen in live action Star Wars, is certainly a sight to behold, although I wish the promotional materials didn't include virtual every shot of Din Djarin unmasked, and though it's not the task of the film to correct for mistakes from previous stories, it would have been nice to correct for Season 3 misguided decision to brand Din Djarin unmasking as the mistake of the Moral Question Act. There's an obvious benefit to having a protagonist masked, especially when he's played by a huge movie star who's cast to be on set probably quite a bit, but there's surely more creative ways to have Din Djarin unmasked for 90% of the time. That would not be, recontextualized is the word I'm looking for. And again, his decision to take off his helmet as a problem. What I mean by that is like the Mandalorian. The main thing about being a Mandalorian is you can never take off the helmet around others. Like if you're going to bed, yeah, if you gotta go use the bathroom, okay, fine. But what the main point is, they can never take that thing off. It's like a cult like thing. The Hutt's twins were gonna sell this thing on the black market. What cheapskates? Like, come on, guys. Then the Hutt twins, I should say, decided to drop the Mando into a creature pit below, just like how Jabba dropped Luke into the Rancor pit in Return of the Jedi. Pedro Pascal gets to flex some of his skills as a competitive swimmer here in an action sequence that's feeling brilliantly large scale in the large IMAX. Definitely you want to check this out in the IMAX theater. If you can. But anyway you can watch it. It's a beautiful way to watch it. Grogu and the Anzillians, meanwhile, journey to Nahada and manage to save Mando in the nick of time because, boy, that giant snake was whooping him down, taking a bite, even poisoned him. It was crazy. And, Grogu stays to take care of his dad, who has been, again, poisoned by the Hutt's creature. And this scene that follows slow pace of the film down considerably, perhaps a bit jarring. So, Filoni, I get it. I get why they had to. And it propels the audience forward from the scene to scene. Is, pursuing the film, but changed the pacing entirely by spending an ample time of following Grogu take care of his father, the Mandalorian. And I get why. And honestly, arguably, here's how I would defend this. The slow pacing aside, is, to me, everything when he's taking care of his dad, it reminded me of Master Yoda. I loved it. This was one of my favorite scenes, just like the first scene of the film. I loved it because it reminded me of Master Yoda. Seeing Grogu do the meditation, living on a planet that's just all swamp, was just, it was good. That was the smart decision for this whole movie, and I loved it. Right? Because again, pacing aside, this inversion of the lone wolf and cub trope is quite lovely. We wish the idea of protecting become the protector was explored a bit further, and yet it marks interesting evolution of Grogu and Jar relationship. The brilliant Stephen McCain Henderson makes a brief vocal appearance in The Creature Who Helps Grogu Invade Imbo and creates an antidote for Din Djarin, which that's crazy because it's like they respect each other, and he's like, look, I know what I did. I laid the smack down on him. I took him to town. Like I gave him the hands. Like you can't mess with me. So the fact that he respects the Mando, and that, yeah, he did just treat it as a job, but that was pretty cool. And again, I'm not hating. I'm just not hating at all. And to see that, I'm not hating at that because that's pretty cool. And what I liked about that too is because I was like, man, is this guy gonna die off? Like, is this whole movie's gonna be about Grogu being a lonely child now? I was like, no way, it cannot be. But obviously he got healed. He was lucky. He survived. And the father and son, Grogu and the Mandalorian, decided we're going back. We're going to lay the smack down, and they got revenge on everybody. And another moment that put a smile on my face was the Weaver who adored in the unmasked orange wing jumpsuit as she comes in and assisted by Zeb, Paul, Shiwu Lee, and Kara Sentiva. I just love that because they're going in, and it's got intense because like they were gonna blow up this whole building or hut, whatever. What it look, I don't know what it would call it. With the huts disposed, everyone makes their way back. Rada the Hutt says that he wants to work for the New Republican now, and how crazy it would be if the Scrap Ranger of the New Republic shows was reworked to have Rada as the star, with Carson, Teva, Trap, Wolf, and maybe even Cobb Vaughn, as well as definitely a Disney Plus series I would definitely watch. This film concludes as Mando, after spending the movie trying to stop Grogu from pressing the button of the Razor Crest, welcomes his son into his lap and mentors him to fly the ship. The nicely rounds out the duo's, central arc involving the inversion of their father-son dynamic, although it ends the film on a bit of a underwhelming, anticlimactic note, but other than that, it was good. If I had to give this a 1 out of 10, this is a 10 out of 10 film. I loved everything about it. I thought it was sweet, wholesome, and I think honestly this is their better Star Wars film. Like, I love this. Like, because I always find it, to me, when they make a Star Wars movie that has no Jedis at all, it's challenging. Because when people think Star Wars, they think of lightsabers. They think of Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader, Darth Maul, or just Maul now. They think of Ahsoka. They think of just Jedis. This one, this one was... This proves that you can make a good Star Wars movie or show without the lightsabers. But I'm a guy who loves to watch Star Wars with lightsabers. So I would love to see... I wish I would have saw a Jedi in this. And I wish I would have saw some other characters in this film from the Mandalorians. There was other, like the female Mandalorians. I wish I saw them in this movie. I wish I saw, not everyone, but just those. I'll just keep it as that. That's who I really wanted to see, because I thought they would be an important part of this franchise of the Mandalorian Grogu movie. But it's okay. It's not a big deal. Another thing I did like about this too is, again, the main plot was perfect. Honestly, that's why it's a 10 out of 10. A simple movie like that makes the franchise even better, even stronger. And honestly, this can get new audience, new fans to like Star Wars. Honestly, like, this is how you introduce somebody who wants to get into Star Wars. You say, check out this movie. One of them. I mean, yeah, you can. There's no right or wrong way to start watching Star Wars at all. If you want to start watching Star Wars because of this movie, please do it. Please, please, please just do it. Like, I'm so proud of you if you do it, because this is such a good movie. The only thing I didn't like about this was, again, I wish there were certain characters from The Mandalorian that would have showed up, and I just wish there were certain Jedis that would show up. I wish Ahsoka showed up, and I wish Luke Skywalker showed up, but that's okay. No big deal. Other than that, it's a 10 out of 10. But that is my spoiler review, y'all. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel, Great Talking Entertainment official channel. Subscribe, hit that notification button so you can always get updated with all my latest content. Thank you, guys, and peace out.